How do you achieve the ultimate freedom in off-grid energy with a camper van? Well, that's what we're going to find out today with this beautiful Hymer Mercedes B650. One of our viewers has brought it to us to take a look at what we can achieve with solar and batteries. Let's get into it. So this is Pierre.
Hello.
And Pierre has come all the way from?
Sweden.
All the way from Sweden to?
Cambridge.
We're in Cambridge. He's been exploring the UK with his wife, girlfriend?
Girlfriend, but we've been girlfriend for so long, she should probably wife.
With your camper van wife?
Yep.
And you've come to Cambridge to seek out the answer to a question.
Yes, can you work remotely in an RV?
Why did you seek out Artisan Electrics to answer this question for you?
So long story short, we fixed a lot of things on this trip. We got help with, the electrical stuff. We got help with the engine. We got help with some water leakage. But one thing we didn't have time to fix when we were in Sweden was the solar panels. So then, I saw a random video of yours where you fixed some solar panels. We were in Cambridge and I was like, what if you were close by? And yeah, you were.
And we were, and I was. The stars have aligned because I'd literally flown in this morning, because I live out of the UK for most of the month. I flew in this morning, Pierre's here, so today we are going to do a solar survey on this camper van and see, can we fit solar panels on the roof? How many? How much power could that generate? And will that work with the batteries and all of the existing electrics in the camper van? So if you enjoy content like this, I know it's a little bit different, hit a like and subscribe. Let's have a tour of this beautiful camper van. So tell me the story about this. How did you get it and how old is it and why did you get it?
Yeah, so these are very well known for, the Mercedes engine. They hold forever. Hymer, the best quality you can get. And it's 40 years old, so it basically never breaks as long as you maintain it. This is a B650, but you can tell here, they have repainted it. If you scratch the surface, you can see here, it's like brown. Okay. These are usually called the brownies because they were super brown, super beautiful.
Right now, it's got a diesel engine.
Yep.
And presumably it's got some batteries.
Yes, 600 amp hours.
Okay, 12 volt batteries?
Yep.
Yeah. And then the diesel engine will charge the batteries when you're running.
Exactly. We want to change the alternator, but it's working for now. But
and as soon as you stop running, how long will the batteries last for?
I mean, if we have the AC on, it's like 9 hours. Yeah. So obviously we don't run that as often. If you would just do Starlink and some small water stuff like a water pump, it's days. We've seen up to 10 days. So right now it is pretty good. But obviously if you add solar on top of that, then it's unlimited.
It's infinite power.
Yes.
Okay, do you want to show me the batteries?
Yeah, let's go. So this is the sketchy part, because this is the batteries I built myself. This is dangerous stuff. You should, you should probably get a professional to do this. Can you actually see that? So.
Okay, yeah, so I can see some big red and black battery cables and are the batteries in here? Or?
Yep, so the lithium cells are in there.
Okay.
And then they are connected in you can see there, the two boxes up there.
Yeah.
Then there
so
goes
it's just like a DC junction box.
Exactly, because I wanted to have those protected. Okay. And both of those boxes include BMS to control the lithium batteries so they don't overcharge and etc.
Wow. Are these, when you say lithium cells, are they just like the normal kind of batteries that you would have?
They are actually kind of like this big, this wide, and like this, something like that. So there's 4 of them.
They're like rectangular type ones.
Exactly.
A bit like a miniature version of a car battery.
Yeah. Each one is like 304 amp hours, 3 point something volts.
Okay, so how are those connected to the main electronics in the van at the moment?
You want to go check?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's in this magic cupboard?
So here's kind of like a sketchy, but it works really well, holder for the Starlink. So we can put it in here and we just take it out so we can, mount it somewhere. Nice. And then we have the cable that we, can just take through here, and it goes through this and, comes out over here.
Okay, and here's all the clever Victron stuff.
Exactly. So here's the inverter charger.
Yeah.
Here's the distributor. Honestly, this is so good for if you're new. This saved me so much understanding, time and stuff, because doing this myself with bus, whatever you call it, it would have taken so long. But this made me feel safe when I was doing it. And this is the DC to DC charger that goes all the way from, you know, from the front to the car battery. And then we have a fancy Servo GX, which basically we can use in the future to kind of do a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, so you can connect that to your Starlink, monitor your system, see what it's doing, especially when you've got solar, you want to know how much you're generating and all that.
Yep.
It's a nice piece in the puzzle. So this is your MPPT, so that's where we need to be connecting the solar to, and I can see the PV input there.
Yep.
Do you know what the maximum amount of solar panels we can connect to that is?
I actually don't know. I think it's just like, I mean, I might sound like a noob now, but isn't this like 100 volts of you add them together and
Possibly,
then I think that's how it might work. You just obviously need
50. Well, we can do some Googling and find out.
That's what we will do.
And we can look at what panels we might put on the roof and make sure that they will match to whatever this can do, or we might have to upgrade this to a larger one, but
whatever. Yep.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
So if we think about electricity and how it works in a normal house, right? The house works on AC power, alternating current, which is what a lot of the stuff inside here might be doing. So I'm guessing like this is working on AC, right? 230 volts. You've got sockets somewhere, I guess, like for your little coffee machine and everything, working on 230 volts. And normally in a solar setup in a house, you have the solar panels producing DC, and then you have an inverter to convert that to AC to run everything in the house. However, a lot of the stuff in a van like this is actually running on 12 volt DC, right? So we've got an interesting situation where half of the building, the camper van is running off 12 volt DC and half is running off AC. So is the lighting?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep.
I thought it might be,
Yep.
So you probably got little light bulbs. Maybe you changed them to LEDs?
We should. No, we haven't yet.
No?
So that's like 50 watts.
They're original.
Yeah.
Let's have a little look. Oh wow, that's so nice. So you've got these little original 12 volt DC lamps. You've got these lights, or are they just?
Yeah, they're also 12, but they're also like they get super warm.
They're really original, so they're using a lot of power because they're little halogen lamps. So those are running straight off the batteries essentially in 12 volt DC. But then you've got this. You've got maybe the radio stuff. Wow, that looks pretty amazing.
The radio stuff in front, but yeah, this is quite beautiful.
This is just controls, is it?
So this is what the magical part with the snail vans, what they did.
Okay.
So you can see all of the electricity. So this is, I think, the car battery.
Oh, yeah.
This is the battery back there. So like we could, install a Victron's touch screen somewhere, but we can kind of get enough here. It's just funny that this goes from like 20 minus to 20 plus amps, and we just turn something on and it just a lot of consumption.
So as soon as you put a load on it,
and
the battery is that the charge level, or that's the current
how much
of the battery?
So either like negative or plus. And it's funny, you see this like moving like this.
Wow.
Like that's because of the LEDs on the control, like the Servo GX.
Just flickering. And they're affecting that. Okay, so if you're a nerd who knows about this stuff, tell us why the LEDs flickering on the Servo GX is actually making the needle wander on the ampage needle thing there. That's quite incredible. This is all in German, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like
Frischwasser, is that to pump?
The pump is actually this one, so that's where you turn on the pump. This is just to see how much water you have left and how much grey water you put in the grey water tank.
So it's got a sensor that can measure like some kind of float sensor or something.
Yep.
So that Victron charge controller is the thing that's basically now converting the 12 volts from the batteries, and potentially the DC voltage from the solar panels will be going into that, into AC power to be used in certain devices within the camper van. And then the rest is coming directly off the battery. So the question is, can we fit solar panels on the roof of this? And if so, how many? And will it work? Let's get the drone up and have a look. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a high-res photo of the roof. We're going to get some physical measurements as well, and then we're going to map it out in our solar design software to see how many panels we think we can fit. Voila! So in order to lay out our overhead view from the drone onto real scale measurements, we need to go old school and use one of these. So we're going to measure the length and the width of the camper van, then we can map it out in our design tool, and hopefully we should see exactly how many panels we can fit. Welcome to our humble office.
Thank you.
So what I'm going to do is use Solar Edge Designer, new project. So what we can do now is where your space was, we can map out. So if I use that, then we can align these blue and yellow marks up. What was the measurements again? 5 point something by 2.7.
It's crazy, it looks so big.
Go with
but
that,
it is
I
pretty
know, exactly, it is, that's the thing, yeah. So if we go with our normal panels.
How much is each of these panels?
440 watts. Okay, so according to this, you can kind of get that many panels on, but that's not going to happen because of all the obstacles. That would be 6 kilowatts. That's more than a lot of houses can get. Then we need to delete the ones that are covering the air conditioning unit and stuff. 3 440 watt panels, 1300 watts, something like that.
What a massive number.
Decent, yeah. So the open circuit voltage is 38.9. 38.9 times 3 is 116 volts open circuit, yeah. Yeah, it shines through. You see how it's yeah. So the cells actually allow light through, and then there's more cells on the back, so the reflected light generates more from the back of the panel as well as the front. Oh, you got one of those death ladders.
Oh.
The ladder of death. Okay, you can just rest it on your foot like that.
Put this on the back of the...
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, do whatever you want. Please don't just fall.
Tom, you take that side, I'll take this
Yeah.
side. And then the idea would be to rotate it so that it's in landscape, basically. Oh yeah, that. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that is like a perfect fit. There we go. Perfect fit. Look at that. It's about as good as it gets, I think. We just need to raise it high enough so that it's not laying on top of the skylight, right?
Yeah.
Reckon that'll work?
Yeah, it's quite a height though.
It is, yeah. It's definitely going to work anyway width-wise, and that means we should be able to fit 2 more at the front end of the van as well. Woohoo! So, I think we can fit 3 440 watt bifacial panels on your roof, which give you a decent amount of energy.
Yeah, I feel like we can fly with it almost. Or like, I don't know, we don't even need an engine anymore. We can just full electrical.
That's it, just run, just stick an electric motor in there, run the whole thing, and probably go faster than the diesel engine anyway.
Yeah, probably.
So, I will do a little bit of research tonight about the MPPT just to make sure that with the voltage and current and everything that we're good. Then we might need to swap that MPPT out to a slightly bigger one. Hopefully the form factor is the same because it's quite a small space to fit it in. And if we can, then if you come back here later on in the week, we'll try and get this kitted out for you.
Oh my God.
Sound good?
Yeah, amazing.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, don't thank me until it's done, right? Don't thank me until it's done. But I think we can do this and it'll be fun. So I will drop you a message and we'll sort something out. And then we transition to fitting the panels. And it was at this moment that I realised I might have bitten off a bit more than I can chew. You see, if you're new to the channel and this is the first Artisan video that you've watched, let me clarify something. This is not what we do. We are residential and commercial solar installers. We fit panels on buildings. We don't fit panels on vehicles. I have never done this before. But when this subscriber reached out to me, I really wanted to help and I was super excited by the project. So I might have kind of got ahead of myself a bit and gone, yeah, we'll help. And then after he left and I started to do research about mounting systems and how to drill through the roof and started to panic about whether the panels are going to blow off or not while he's driving down the road.
Was that the solar panel?
I realised that I don't really know what I'm doing and there's a lot of stuff that could go wrong. But not only that, getting hold of all the materials and bits and pieces that we needed in time for us to get this job done today, which is Friday, before I fly back home to France, was a little bit of a stretch. So I've talked to Pierre, we've come to an agreement that we'll try today. We've ordered all the parts that we think we need and some are here now but some have still got to arrive and it's a bit of a gamble as to whether we're going to manage to get it done. But we'll take you on this journey with us and see what we can come up with. So on Tuesday when Pierre came, it was baking hot, and I was a bit worried that it was going to be like that today, but it's a little bit overcast. It's still quite warm, but it's sort of good weather for doing this kind of job. So I went to the unit this morning and I grabbed some spare rail that we had, lots of different mounting brackets and bits and pieces, and the idea is we're going to use a kind of a traditional roof mounted system but with some adaptations. So these are aluminium rails that we usually use on house roofs, and I've found a way, I think, to adapt these to work on the roof of the camper, but there's a few tricky things about the setup with the camper van. One of them is that he wants the panels to be set up quite high off the roof so that the skylights can still open for a bit of ventilation. The other thing is that it's, you know, a thin aluminium roof, it's quite old. We're gonna need to clean it and seal it properly before we put any mounting brackets on. Right, so this was the original plan. We were going to try and fix the rails to this. The reason we need a bit of height is because of these skylights, because they open. Pierre wants to be able to open them a little bit to get some ventilation, at least, even if they're under the panels. The trouble with that, you don't have much contact with the surface of the camper van. You've only got these two fixing points, essentially, which just doesn't feel that sturdy, you know, and we're worried about it. You know, we want it to be secure and not just for the panels to fly off while he's driving on the road back to Sweden. So what we're thinking actually is, what if we use the rail here as a really big contact point and we stick this whole length of rail down with the Sikaflex to the roof? That way it should be super solid, and we can put a couple of screws in as well, just to belt and braces, and then we put this rail on top like that, and then we put the panels on top of that rail. I think this way it's going to be super strong. We can bolt these two together, and the height of the panel will be just above the skylight, so they'll be able to get the ventilation that they need, but also it's going to be quite discreet because the panels will be flat. You're not even going to see them from the ground. So I think we're going to try that, but we've got to figure out if we can bolt these two together or not. I have a cunning plan. And the cunning plan is that I've got these Hilti brackets actually that we didn't use on a job, and they will fit perfectly. The Hilti bracket will fit nicely into the top of this rail. Then I can drill a hole in this and fix that down with a nut, and then we should be good to go. So I'm going to do a little test piece with this one. I'm going to drill a hole slightly larger than what I need, and then we're going to see if it matches. It is super solid. That is not going anywhere. So I think we found our solution. So now that we found our solution, there's another problem to solve, which is that we don't have enough rail. We're going to need, because of the length of these, they're 3.54 meters long. The panels are 1.76, so we can't just cut a rail in half. It's not going to be long enough. That means we're going to need 10 lengths of rail in total. We've only got 5, so we need 5 more lengths of rail from somewhere. But meanwhile, we also need some kind of spray to clean off the roof, to get rid of any residue, so that when we stick the rail down, it's super clean and it's going to really append itself, really glue itself well to the roof. So I'm going to send Pierre on a mission to see if he can find some spray. Right, so we managed to get some multi-surface cleaner, which is like acetone, to make a nice clean surface to adhere to, and we've got some silicone remover as well, just in case there's any silicone remaining on anything. The rail's going to be blocking the other skylight. Because you've got the skylight here and you've got the skylight there, we've got a gap of about that much where the rail needs to go across.
Yeah.
But that's exactly where the box is. It's either the box or you have to close the skylight.
And imagine this is not sturdy enough that we can kind of just cut out a little bit here. Probably not.
No. We could get rid of the box, leave the pipe, and then bring the cables through, put a load of sealant in the pipe or something. But, you know, how reliable that is, I'm not sure. I don't really want to put the rails here because then you have 2 clamps on the panel here and you have a bit where it's kind of loose, you know.
Do you think the panel would withstand if you just put these 2 of these on top of each other? So you have 1 rail more in this direction on top of it? And no, I mean, maybe you can put something underneath in the middle to give some sturdiness here.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
Because then you would be able to close this, I guess, and you would be able to use from the sides.
Yeah, could work. So we were going to do kind of like a cross frame setup, but now we've got obstacles in the middle of the roof which are stopping us from doing that. We were going to have the lengthways rail going all the way along and then a crossways rail like this, but there's the box here where the cable penetration comes up and the box is higher than this, so that's blocking us. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to do 2 lengths of rail on top of each other. So we're basically going to do it like that now. That will give us the height that we need. It will also give us a decent amount of contact surface still. We'll do like 1.2 meters to cover the width of the panel. We'll fix the bottom rail down with the Sikaflex stuff and a couple of screws. Then we'll bolt the top rail onto the bottom rail, and then we'll clamp the panels, the edges of the panels, onto that. That's the plan. Maximum 1.4 meters. No, let's go for the minimum actually, that might be better. 1.2. So I reckon 1.2 meters will give us enough space to put an end clamp on each end, have a little bit of wiggle room to play with. Let's do it. This is a complete nightmare. We're not really doing very well here. Every time we think we've come up with a new solution, that solution creates another problem, which we then have to try and solve. So I was just talking to you about how we were going to put the double rails on top of each other now. But the issue with that is that these rails are not really designed to be screwed down to something. We've got these self-tappers with washers, but when I've fixed them down with this, the washers are not going to sit flush, so they're not going to seal to the roof. You know, I don't really just want to use like normal wood screws. We've not got any self-tappers with really tiny heads, and I don't really want to use a self-tapper that's super flimsy because that's not going to work either. The other thing is we've got this issue with the junction box being too high to fit under the rail. We can't use the double rails because we've realised we're going to move them inwards, then the screws are going to be sticking through the ceiling. We've decided to go back to the idea of having them further out and then using the cross pieces again, but that means we're going to have to move the junction box, and in order to move the junction box we're going to have to seal the hole with some aluminium sheet, which we don't have. If, for example, we don't use screws but we just stick everything down, how long do we need to wait for it to be solid enough to drive away safely? And the Sikaflex stuff has no kind of instructions that I can see about how long it takes to set, but we are kind of outstaying our welcome in this space. We're not really supposed to be just doing work out here. This is just a car park at our office. I'm just starting to feel like this is a project that's just was doomed to failure from the start, really. So what's the crack with the setting time?
Per 2 millimeters, 24 hours.
Okay, so that would mean you're going to have to stay here for 24 hours, which is not going to happen because the landlord will probably put some like clamps on your wheels and then
and they're going to be forever.
Tow your lovely camper van away, and
oh no.
So that's not going to happen. But we're kind of running out of time as well.
Yeah.
So I've got a flight to catch this evening, and I'm worried that if we don't start soon, we're just going to run out of time, and I'm going to leave you stranded here with a half-done job. For your sake as well, I don't want to do the job and not do it properly, you know?
No, that makes a lot of sense.
I'd rather you arrive safely back in Sweden without like some kind of crazy motorway crash of panels flying off the roof or something.
That's the worst. I read about people, you know, not mounting it properly and then they fly off, and like it's sad for you obviously because you lose your panel, but you can kill someone behind you. So I think it's super important to have it firm.
I think realistically we're not going to get it all done today, so it's better for us to not start, because as soon as we start we've got to finish, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry about that because I feel like we failed you a little bit.
No, it's been a fun experience, so no failure at all.
But what we can do is two things. We can give you, if you want, we can give you the panels and the MPPT and anything that might be useful to take with you. And we could do a shout out to any of our viewers who are in Sweden who are actually professionals at this stuff. And maybe with the magic of YouTube, after this video goes live, maybe somebody who's like nearby would actually be able to help, who's a proper professional at doing this, and it's not just
maybe I do it myself and I can send you the video, who knows.
Wicked. Well, it's been a pleasure to
Huggy.
Yeah, I'm just so glad you reached out to me. It's just been such a fun process to like look at it and think about it, and you know, I've definitely learned a few things from it at least. So and
Cambridge is beautiful.
Journey.
Everybody should, if you haven't been to Cambridge, come here. It's a beautiful city.
If you've enjoyed this epic failure of a video, why not settle back and watch a couple more? They'll be up here on the screen, and why not like and subscribe and join us for more crazy adventures.